Charles Lair sent shockwaves through the core of Formula One with one of the most brutally honest, no-holds-barred post-race declarations of his entire career. What was billed as a pivotal weekend in Bahrain, a moment where Ferrari was expected to turn the tide with a front-row start, a heavily upgraded SF25, and an atmosphere in the garage charged with anticipation, devolved into a sobering and merciless reality check. The usually diplomatic and composed Lair, known for choosing his words carefully and offering tempered optimism even in the face of failure, discarded the filter this time. There was no sugarcoating, no attempt to soften the blow with vague promises or cautiously hopeful metaphors. What he delivered instead was sharp, raw, and entirely impossible to brush aside. It wasn't just a quote, it was a thunderous verbal uppercut aimed straight at the soul of Maranello. This wasn't merely another underwhelming Grand Prix. This was a full-blown confession from a driver who has reached the end of his emotional endurance, a man who has carried the weight of false dawns, flawed strategies, and a car that perennially fails to live up to its hype. And this time, he wasn't interested in playing the good soldier. There was no room for ambiguity in what he said. With just one damning sentence, he laid Ferrari bare. For years, the Scuderia has danced around its problems, dodging accountability, masking shortcomings with spin. But Lair ripped that mask clean off. The SF25 isn't a contender. It's not competitive enough. And when a driver as fiercely loyal as Charles, someone who's bled red for the team since day one, starts speaking with this kind of ferocious clarity, you know something inside Ferrari is reaching a boiling point. Something is stirring in Maranello. And whatever it is, it's going to upend the entire foundation. Lair had started the Bahrain Grand Prix from second on the grid. Spirits were high. He looked poised to fight for the podium, maybe even a surprise victory if things broke in his favor. But the warning signs began flashing as soon as the lights went out. On the very first lap, George Russell swept past him with ease, as if the Ferrari was parked. The team didn't respond with aggression. There was no counterattack. Instead, Lair was cast into a defensive stance, reacting instead of dictating, trying to hold on rather than strike back. Then came the real insult. Lando Norris, despite serving a 5-second time penalty, reeled him in and passed him without resistance. It wasn't just a matter of losing positions. It was the ease with which rivals sliced through him that stung. The SF25 had no rhythm, no bite, no consistency. Even with the team's best efforts to deploy undercuts and leverage clever early stint pressure, the car simply didn't have the weapons required to fight. And the most painful part of it all? Ferrari knew this race demanded a hard charge from the very start. After the race, Lair laid out the truth. The entire strategy was built around an aggressive first stint. They banked on clean air and tire advantage to carve out a gap. But instead of exploiting that edge, the car self-destructed. The tires were shredded far too quickly. The plan collapsed in real time. There's no way to downplay it. This wasn't just a poor performance. It was a symbolic unraveling. A cold, hard mirror held up to Ferrari's face. And the man holding that mirror wasn't a journalist or a rival team boss. It was their own golden boy. The one they've asked to carry the torch, to lead the project, to believe in the future that always seems just a season away. When someone like Charles Lair stops believing, or worse, starts speaking like he doesn't believe anymore, that's not a red flag. That's a siren blaring across the paddock. The kind of moment that hints at fractures behind the scenes, about loyalties being tested, and perhaps a point of no return being reached. Make no mistake, this wasn't a one-off outburst. This felt like the beginning of a reckoning. One driver's patience is running out. And with it, maybe, the illusion that Ferrari is even close to getting its house in order. Like a starving beast circling a prey it's never quite able to catch, Ferrari found itself haunted, again, by the exact same fatal flaw that has stalked them since 2022. Relentless tire degradation, an imbalanced car throughout stints, and a total inability to adapt when conditions begin to shift. What began as a tightly contested Bahrain Grand Prix slowly settled into its second act, and as strategies started aligning across the grid, the Scuderia was left exposed. Naked. Vulnerable. No grip. No top-end pace. And worst of all, no agility in reacting to the chaos unfolding around them. In Formula One, if your car is slow, there's no rabbit you can pull out of a strategic hat that's going to rescue you. You can simulate 500 different race scenarios in your state-of-the-art simulator, you can feed endless variables into your wind tunnel, you can draw up the most brilliant race map on paper, but if your car is fundamentally off the pace, you're not competing. You're just surviving. Like trying to play chess with no queen, bluffing your way through a war you're already losing. And this time, the finger wasn't pointed at the strategists. Lair didn't need to. The message was crystal clear. No amount of tactical genius could have saved this train wreck. That's how deep the rot runs. The moment your lead driver begins to lose faith, not only in the machinery beneath him, but in the carefully crafted game plan devised by the brains on the pit wall, then you know the cracks are no longer invisible. They're gaping wounds. Structural. Fundamental. Then came the safety car. On paper, it was a gift from the gods. A reset button. A golden opportunity for Ferrari to claw their way back into contention. But even that brief moment of grace couldn't salvage what was already broken. Because when your car is fundamentally lagging, a perfectly timed safety car is like handing a knight a shattered sword. It might look heroic, but it's useless in battle. Charles Lair's post-race message was more than frustration. It was a flare shot into the night sky. A warning. Ferrari isn't just in danger of losing races anymore, they're on the verge of losing him. And if the SF25 doesn't evolve quickly, if this car doesn't transform into a weapon that can truly fight at the front, then Maranello could soon find itself grappling with a crisis far more devastating than tire degradation. So if you're watching this right now, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because what Lair unleashed today might just be the spark that lights a fire inside Ferrari. And trust me, you won't want to miss the inferno that could follow. After the safety car period, Lair rejoined the race with fresher rubber than most of the grid. On paper, it looked like a lifeline. A brief shimmer of hope. Maybe this was the moment he would strike back, carve his way through the midfield, salvage something meaningful from the wreckage. But it didn't take long for that illusion to evaporate. The raw pace wasn't there. The performance didn't match the promise. The window of opportunity slammed shut before he could even get a toe through it. Meanwhile, George Russell, on softer, more fragile compounds, somehow managed to extract more longevity and grip from his tires than Ferrari could from their medium set. Let that sink in. That's not just frustrating. That's a public humiliation. For a team that claims to be chasing wins, aiming for titles, it was a gut punch. And Lair knew it. After the race, he admitted that the car's behavior went sideways long before the stint ended, especially once he got caught in Russell's dirty air. That turbulent airflow only magnified the SF25's biggest weakness, its tire fragility. The rubber overheated. The balance dissolved. The rear got loose. The car became jittery and unstable, and any chance of mounting a comeback melted under the Bahraini sun. This wasn't just another botched Sunday. It was a brutal reminder that Ferrari remains completely out of sync with the true frontrunners. McLaren's rise is real. Red Bull, even on an off day, still operate in a different stratosphere. Mercedes is inching closer with each race. And Ferrari? They're treading water. Caught in a loop of grand ambitions and slow execution. They dream of glory, but when race day arrives, when tire wear and stint consistency matter most, they crumble. And that's the point where frustration evolves into something deeper, something more dangerous. It becomes a signal. Lair didn't scream over the radio. He didn't lash out, didn't throw blame or tantrums. But his tone afterward? Deafening. This is a man who has stood by Ferrari through thick and thin, through false promises, flopped upgrades, and countless weekends of missed chances. But this time, his honesty hit differently. This wasn't a man venting. This was a turning point. A pivot. The kind of statement that says, quietly but firmly, I've waited. I've sacrificed. I've done my part. But I can't keep doing this if you won't give me the tools to win. And now, with Lewis Hamilton set to share that garage, the spotlight on Ferrari is blinding. The pressure has never been higher. They cannot afford to be average anymore. They can't survive another season of almost. Because the longer this dysfunction simmers beneath the surface, the more likely it is that Charles Lair, so loyal, so patient, will begin to ask the one question no team ever wants to hear from their star driver. Let's not forget something crucial. Charles Lair is no longer the fresh-faced rookie full of promise and patience. He's in the prime of his career. This is his moment, the window where everything should align: skill, experience, determination. And once again, Bahrain delivered a crushing reality check. Ferrari is still nowhere near ready to give him the car he needs to fight at the front. So what's really going on with this machine? The SF25 was marketed as a polished, more consistent evolution of last year's unpredictable beast. A refined weapon meant to exorcise the demons that have haunted this team for seasons. And yes, there have been improvements. Qualifying performance looks sharper. Top speed isn't terrible. But beneath that surface polish lies the same festering wound: excessive tire wear, poor balance under heavy fuel loads, and a narrow operating window that kills any chance of flexible race strategies. Bahrain didn't just reveal that flaw, it tore it wide open. Unless Ferrari drastically improves how it manages tire energy, especially on abrasive tracks with high degradation, they're going to keep getting hammered. This is no longer about one unlucky race or a specific type of circuit. It's a full-blown pattern. A car that simply cannot compete over full race distances. And now, everyone sees it. Where does that leave us? More importantly, where does that leave Ferrari? Lair's post-race truth bomb wasn't some emotional meltdown or heat-of-the-moment outburst. It was a seismic event. A thunderclap that echoed through the bureaucratic fog of Maranello. When a driver who has been the definition of loyalty and restraint starts speaking without a filter, it's not just the media that perks up, it sends tremors straight into the engineering department. The ones who built the SF25 need to question everything. The very philosophy behind this car. In the strategy room, where even the most advanced simulations can no longer hide the car's glaring limitations. And perhaps most deafening of all, into the hearts of the tifosi. Millions of Ferrari fans asking the same soul-crushing question. How the hell did we end up back here again? This wasn't just another missed podium. It was the door slamming shut on a season that was supposed to feel different. A fresh start, a dream pairing of Lair and Hamilton, a shared belief that maybe, finally, the worst was behind them. But Bahrain showed us those ghosts haven't left. They're alive. And they're clawing at Ferrari's ankles. Inconsistent pace over long runs. Tire degradation that borders on catastrophic. A car that shuts down the moment the race becomes a fight. And let's not ignore the psychological cost. How many more weekends like this before Lair starts questioning his loyalty? Before Hamilton, newly inducted into the Ferrari family, starts wondering if he's jumped onto a sinking ship? Ferrari's battle isn't just with Red Bull or McLaren anymore. It's against doubt, against disillusionment. And that's the most dangerous war of all, because it's being fought inside their own garage. And that's what makes this all the more terrifying. If Ferrari doesn't respond, if they don't act now, this won't just be a string of difficult weekends. It'll turn into something far darker. The kind of collapse that shatters belief, that fractures unity, that poisons morale before the season even hits its midpoint. This is no longer a matter of race day tactics. It's about survival. So what comes next? Do they double down on a concept that's clearly flawed? Gamble everything mid-season on upgrades that may arrive too late, or worse, don't work at all? Or do they finally stop running from the truth and confront the painful reality? that their chosen path is broken and only radical course correction will give them a shot at holding on to the two most talented drivers on the grid? Let us know what you think in the comments, because this doesn't feel like just another post-race disaster. This feels like a threshold. Are we watching the beginning of a true turning point for the Scuderia? Or is this just the opening act of another slow, agonizing implosion? Was Charles Lair right to speak out? Or should he have kept his head down and stayed patient a little longer? And more importantly, what the hell is it going to take for Ferrari to stop the bleeding and finally join the fight? If you found this deep dive compelling and want to stay locked into every twist and gut-punch moment of this wild 2025 season, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, so you're always first to know when the next detonation drops. Because believe us, this story isn't cooling down. It's heating up. Lair's grenade may have just sparked something inside Maranello. And if Ferrari doesn't move fast, doesn't take bold action now, then the car won't be the only thing going up in flames. The fire is spreading, and the paddock is watching.